That's right. This week's Top 20 Video Game Music Show with music chosen by you. Chosen by Rudi, Kris, xenmas, Horky, Claudio, and Lachlan. If you'd like your name on there, you just have to join our Discord and join our bi-weekly show, and you get to submit 3 to 5 songs for each bi-weekly theme. This one is from Jet Grind Radio Future. It's Humming the Bassline, composed by the incredible Hideki Naganuma. We'll be hearing a lot of songs from Naganuma today from different games, actually, and even a new game coming out that it looks like some kind of a retro throwback, an unofficial kind of sequel to Jet Set Radio Future. So let's start off with our first pick. Our first official track from Chibi Robo, released in 2005. This is Funkmaster Flower Training, composed by Hirofumi Taniguchi, chosen by Rudi. Was crazy. That was really crazy. So the interesting thing with that is they have like so many things that are pushing bop 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 bop. You know, when you're hitting on the offbeat, if you're doing like 1 and 2 and 3, they're doing the 1 and just so many instruments and layers. Wow! It's just like almost like everybody's soloing at the same time in a way. Down, da, 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 da. Jesus Christ. It's cool. There's so many instruments joining together on the riffs and like so much in the background. It's a real clusterfuck, but it's so impeccably arranged that it works. Give this like this little bit of that off snare, kind of like a Latin snare in a way. Jesus. There's just like so much variation to where they're putting down this, like the snare drum and everything else. Just like constantly pushing your brain. I feel like you're just kind of getting jerked left and right, left and right. Holy Lord. And it's for these guys? It's for the Chibi Robo? That is crazy. Wow. That's super wild. That's amazing. What a track. Next up, from Warioware, this is Penny's theme, composed by Naoko Mitome, Masanobu Matsunaga, and Yasuhisa Baba. Big Baba. Chosen by Kris. That's fun. That's really interesting. I like that. It's just got that big, heavy. It's almost like a 909 kick drum, or like a big thumpy kick drum. Maybe like an 808. It's got that decay on it. The big juicy kick. Really kind of light cymbals. Not just always doing the kind of like a little lower in the mix, and sometimes they're accenting that upbeat like a classic kind of 90s dance beat, and sometimes they're just laying off, and then sometimes the kick drum lays off. And it stays on that same chord for a long time, which to me sounds like a menu theme, or in these kind of games where there's not going to be voice acting, just it feels like a tutorial, or like Horky said, like something being built, you know? It just sounds like you're waiting for something to happen. Need a little more story, that kind of thing. And then that B section finally comes in, goes to some chords, and after staying on that same chord for the longest time, it's like very, very joyous, really climactic to jump out of there. Orgasmic. Splooging everywhere. I like that piano section too. Kind of sounds like a robot built it using AI, like an AI robot was just abandoned somewhere, and it eventually learned through our history how to make a piano and kind of play. And it doesn't sound like something a human would play, and it's like all the notes are there, but not in a way like that one. The tempo doubles partway through the gameplay as well. A robot installed Fruity Loops, on itself. Oh, it's a difficulty increases. That's probably why it starts off as about as slow and relaxing as possible. I couldn't imagine this being double speed. That'd be crazy. Next up from Persona 5 Strikers. This is the Freedom Buzz Dance. Interesting name. Composed by Hiromu Akaba. Chosen by xenmas. Man, that's pretty nice. I mean, it's so unmistakably Persona 5. You've got the like really active and warm bass, the funky drums, of course, and the electric Rhodes piano, that really kind of soft but distorted guitar that sings for the lead, and then the rhythm is that high kind of funk. I like that riff there. It kind of sounds like it's a bit of a laser beam on it, maybe like a phaser effect. It's pretty energetic. It's pretty funky, but it's actually still relaxing. I like those stuttered drum fills when they're like, those little triplets at the end. It's like show-off funk jazz. But if you got it, you better jizz it. In your pants. Next up from Interstate 76, this is a Spineless Funk composed by Arion Salazar, or maybe Aaron, but spelt like a douche, A-R-I-O-N. It is the founding member of Third Eye Blind, so something douchey this way might come. Chosen by horky. Superstitious. Sun ain't the way. Turning up the baby through the looking glass. Superstition ain't the way. I didn't like that part. Downtown, take a funky turn to the back alley and let it burn. Yeah, can you feel it? In your butt crack, getting greasy. Don't wipe, yep. Yeah, I would say that this is like there's a good backing band behind this, and it's just I do like that kind of like Ottawa bass. But the main horn line is really ripping off Superstition. And then when it kind of tries to do its own thing, it's not so good. I think the guy's third eye blind is showing when he tries to do anything that isn't just taking, But this was made in a time when video game music wasn't really taken all that seriously. So I think you could probably get away with a lot of just take it. Who's gonna know? Oh, and then it ends. I mean, that could just be not a great ending because it was designed to be like a looping track. So we're like, well, whatever. It's never actually going to end. We'll just end it on the album like that. Yeah, when you think funk, you think Third Eye Blind. Well, this next track is from Streets of Rage 4. Released in 2020. This is Art Gallery, composed by Lopes, chosen by Claudio. Just gotta jump ahead and get to the second part you're talking about. That's really, really fun. That is great. What a monumental task when you're remaking Streets of Rage, and then you're tasked with coming up with music that is. I mean, Streets of Rage is some of the most legendary music. The way that they used the Sega Genesis limited FM synth perfectly in creating 90s clubby electronica dance funk. This is really getting there though. So I would say this has got like a modified reggaeton beat, where a reggaeton beat is like boom chi boom chi boom chi boom chi boom chi boom chi, and this is gonna go like boom boom, which is nice. It actually sounds more like it's a reggaeton beat that's organically played, and I think a limitation of a lot of reggaeton beats is that they tend to just repeat the same sample over and over again, like from song to song, from artist to artist, and it can be so tiring to listen to. But this one actually has that handmade feel, hand-played feel as well, which is really, really nice. Big, juicy synths combined with like 70s electric piano or like vibe sound, those sort of bells, a bit of saxophone with a delay on it, so you have that kind of like 70s feel mixed with like more of a modern kind of reggaeton feel, and kind of getting away from maybe like to the spirit of 90s dance music, like 90s worldly dance music, but not really trying to do what the original Streets of Rage did, other than trying to sound fun and dancey. I will say, though, I think that the original Streets of Rage theme had a bit more, and the original Streets of Rage score from the first couple games did have like a more of like a dark, like when you think of that first one, it's like there's like that hard bass that plays. Let me find it. So if you listen to this, what the fucking fuck? I press space and it brings up some bullshit menu. Yeah, I will say that the original theme had a bit more of like a fighting in the street kind of feel, as much as like not real life fighting in the street, which is kind of a dark and scary thing to happen. But I mean, like video game just fighting in the streets. It just has got a bit of like of a meaner feel and like a little bit more of a darkness and like a little bit more of it's got a bit more of like an edge and a grit. Whereas yeah, the bass, for sure. Whereas, like, the Streets of Rage 4 is more like celebrating the history and having fun with it. This is fun, too, but it's got a bit of a meaner feel to it, which I appreciate. Man, what a case. What a case of the Mondays. Is that, you notice how they have the music there? Do you think somebody added that for the video, or does the actual game actually put the composer right there on the screen? That'd be pretty impressive. Koshiro in number 4. That's nice. And then what's this? TMNT Shredder's Revenge, OST by T. Lopes, featuring Mike Patton of Mr. Bungle, and Raekwon and Ghostface Killah from the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah. Bop, bop. Man, there's like those orchestra hits, you know, where the sound is everything. It's like pew, pew. And using that as an instrument for some reason just really evokes the like fun and the turtleness of it. I don't know why. It kind of sounds like it's reverberating in a sewer, and just those like fun kind of bluesy lines. I don't know, it kind of gives you that martial arts feel where it's like fun and acrobatic. This next one, from Driver 1, You Are the Wheelman, Los Angeles. The song is by Allister Brimble, chosen by Lachlan. And that's that. Cool. Yeah, an interesting track. It's got a really big bass. It almost sounds like the bass has like an octave of another subtone below it. And then the bass gets really, really busy later on, which is not very indicative of the time. But you have the like, rock organ, that super, super wah guitar. Really dominating the whole track, really wet all over the place. And those cheap-sounding MIDI horns. Pretty good. I mean, I think it's pretty. It's a fun little jammer. When would you want to hear this? You Are the Wheelman, Los Angeles song. This just plays the whole time you drive around Los Angeles. This would be a nice kind of like setup to a mission. I don't know if I'd want to listen to this for more than like 90 seconds. I really do like the tempo of it. It sort of implies like a halftime feel. She gives it like a really kind of slow, floaty feel. Oof, ah, oof, 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 ah, oof. It's very, actually, that's like a lot of modern music does that. It's just like, you know, with those really fast triplets on the hats. Like when your brain knows what funk sounds like, and then you end up hearing a low quality sample. It's very jarring. because you've heard funk for so long and it's always played with real instruments. Moving on, this next one is from Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, to be announced, releasing in 2023. This track is Jack to Funk. It's composed by Hideki Naganuma of Jet Set Radio Grind Future. And this song looks like it is a... I don't know if this is an official part of that game. Probably not. This is probably one of those, like... Maybe they got some of the original creators, or maybe it's just somebody like Concerned Ape who wanted to make a... make his own version of Harvest Moon. Just did it on his own. All right, let's check it out. It's interesting how I was trying to look up, like, are they is it people from the original game? Do they have the rights to this? It seems like, I don't know. It does seem like in video games there's not as much intellectual property that people seem to have. Like, it just seems like you can kind of rip off anything in video games. This is not just being inspired by it. This is like trying to be Jet Set as much as possible. I mean, it seems like they're copying. It looks like a remaster. It's like a remaster of a game that doesn't exist. And then they get the original composer. Yeah, it's a good way to put it, Chris. Whiplash. Kind of feels like they just have grabbing stuff and it's like reversing it really quickly. I don't think Sega would hire me again. They didn't appreciate my music that much. The proof is that when I said I was leaving Sega, no one stopped me. Wow. Not appreciating the music of Naganuma, whose name I definitely knew. Tell the truth, I tried to be an employee of Nintendo twice in the past after I left Sega, but I didn't pass. They said there's no position I can display my ability to the fullest. Oh no, why did I have to read that and know that his music could have been in Splatoon? Splatoon has cool music, but like, I don't know, Splatoon's music is different. Splatoon's music is more, it's more like skater punk. It's like really straight ahead. It's more like where this is more like it's like start and stop. Whereas Splatoon, I think they want that feel of just straight ahead. Whereas, like Jet Set's more of like a freestyle game, single player, having fun, bouncing around, starts and stops, and like you're constantly changing things. Whereas Splatoon, you're trying to just like keep that high energy up. Our next track is the Madness Project Nexus. The track is Firmware, composed by Locknar. Chosen by Kris. Ambient funk.
Downloading mission briefing.
Weapons and shields recharged.
I mean, I can see where dubstep is similar to funk in the way that it's, it's very rhythmic, and it's a lot of those, like I was saying, like funk is all about the little interplay in the beats, like it's, it's a different style, of course, but I can see where dubstep has influences from funk, and like technically it does some things that are similar to funk. Like this build here is very, very just straight up EDM dance. Electronic dance music dance. Like this is not funky, but I'd say like the halftime dubstep part is pretty funky. I feel that it's kind of funky. All right, going outside the box. What I really like about this track is like that really, really low sub bass in the beginning, and then you got the like low fidelity, high kind of tweaky sounds, and then like in the middle to balance it all out, you get the really full sounds, big build, and then that huge dubstep drop. It's nice, really beautifully produced. Hey, next up from Vigilante 8. This is Boogie, composed and arranged by Ji-Hoon Hwang and Howard Drossen. Not necessarily the two most funky names I could think of, but Horky chose it. Let's check it out. This is track 1 from Vigilante 8, Boogie. Well, I'd say that, funk came out before disco, created by James Brown and just like making the rhythms and like really inspired by African music like Fela Kuti, like heavy hitting, especially on the one, a lot of those interplaying polyrhythms, a lot of subdivisions. Disco sort of simplified the main rhythm and made it constantly driving, whereas funk is kind of like disco is more like where it's just got that constant pulse. And what I like about the bass line in this one, the way the bass line is kind of like the bass kind of takes the relentlessness off of that constant, whereas the kick drum is doing that. The bass line's sort of like funk in a way, where it's kind of going one, and even kind of pushing on the 1, 3, 4, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and which sort of like gives it a more like relaxed feel, and then it's over, just like that. This is obviously trying to call back as much as possible to like the biggest disco tracks of the time. They're like whoop whoop, just like every little trick you can have from the time. But that's the whole point. I mean, this Vigilante 8 was like big, larger than life characters, big froze, platform shoes, all that stuff. This is for the character Boogie, who's a disco themed guy, but he was in a funky game. So yeah, best of both worlds. Great pick. All right, our next track. Well, look at this. Castlevania Dracula X. This is Stage 1 Bloodlines. Let's see how funky this gets. Released on the Super Nintendo in 1995, composed by Hiromu Akaba and chosen by Claudio. Wouldn't have expected that, but it definitely does sound like a funky version of a Castlevania song. What a great cover too, eh? I love that. XX. You can just see it being animated into your fucking face. Is this because this is like sort of a, you know who would know? Cyflin. Is this like a remake of the Bloodlines track? And then they thought, okay, well, we'll just take the original Bloodlines and then mix it up a bit. Bloodlines original. No. OST VGM? Uh-oh. If you put OST, it's going to bring up Vampire Bloodlines. Vampire the Masquerade, Castlevania Bloodlines, PCM remaster. Okay, sure. This. No, I've screwed this up. The original's from Dracula, Rondo of Blood. There we go. Thank you. Someone who knows what the hell's going on. I've got myself all mixed up. Rondo of Blood. That was on the Sega Genesis, right? Rondo. Fucking Rondo. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's the PC Engine. The PC Engine, every time I hear something in the PC Engine, it's like, wow, somebody made this Sega Genesis music sound amazing. And so is the PC Engine. Oh my god, the bass is so fucking juicy. That bass is so fucking good. Good lord. No, I don't want to listen to that. La, na, na. That opening guitar funk line, pretty good. You know what I like about it? It sounds like it's on a Stratocaster when usually on a Telecaster you have the neck pickup, which is thicker, and you have the bridge pickup, which is thinner and twangier in the middle, which is a mix. But in the Strat, you have positions 2 and 4, which are between those, and they give this kind of like doubled up chorusy kind of feel, which is that sound there, which gives it a real kind of pluckety sound, like a Stevie Ray Vaughan, blues, Hendrix kind of sound. It's, it's cheesier because it's on the farty Super Nintendo, but actually, it's good. I think they really did a lot with what they had. That Stratocaster sound really sells it for me. Actually, I can't believe how good that sample is. It tramples over each note. That's a good way to say it. I think, well, it's funny, like, the new generation is all about guitars now. That's that skinny blonde idiot who thought he was a good rapper. Machine Gun Kelly. It's a cool name. He's, when you think about music, like, so much of it is just marketing. Machine Gun Kelly was, a couple years ago, he showed up on WWE and got power bombed. And threw some tables and stuff and beaten up. Then he's with Megan Fox. And he, tries to get into a rap feud with Eminem. When I said skinny blonde idiot, you know what I meant? And now he's just kind of taking music that is just old enough that young people are like, oh my god, what's that instrument he's holding? It's so amazing, the guitar. And he just is doing not that great pop punk. Or Olivia Rodrigo doing the Good For You is like a total I don't know what you just call it, early 2000s, like Paramore, and even kind of before that. And Willow is playing a lot of guitar. Will and Jada's daughter, who I actually think she's pretty good, because when Will Smith got her involved in doing that, whip my hair back and forth video, which is weird. That halfway through the tour, she decided, I don't like this, and just shaved all of her hair off. How cool is that? I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. And now it's just hopping into it. I saw her playing Saturday Night Live, and she was pretty decent at guitar. She even had these crazy screaming kind of metal bits right in the middle of her song that actually fit really well. I don't know. I don't know if this new generation will kill the guitar or bring it back. I think they'll bring it back. The thing with the guitar is that it's an expressive instrument, and you can hit it. So it's kind of as cool as drums, and it has as much expression as a violin. And you can sing, and it can support a voice. So it's a pretty cool instrument. I mean, I don't think it'll ever get back to what it was when people where, like the 80s and where it's all about solos and stuff, but I don't really give a shit about that stuff anyway. I was always more of a, like, 90s guy, like Radiohead and that kind of crazy stuff, alternative guitar. Who's going to bring back the harp? There's actually a girl who does, she does, like, how fucking videos are now, where it's like, how do you make an interesting video in 30 seconds? And she's this, kind of like like a cool librarian looking girl. She's kind of like mousy, kind of black hair, but she has like one of those cool, sexy, piercings. I think those piercings are sexy because to me, it seems like if you have that, you're probably into like some cool sex stuff. I don't know, putting your dick in someone's nose or something. Not that I want to do that. But anyway, she does a lot of Instagram stuff that pops up on mine, or reels or whatever. Short social media stuff. And she's always using crazy effects. And she's got a digital harp that has like a high out and a bass out. And she does cool stuff. She has a lot of sponsorship deals as well, trying to sell pedals. But she does it in a nice way. It's funny how, our media used to be so overproduced, so crazy produced, and then it was like, okay, strip it down, and now we just want, now we just want things to be really, really raw. And then now it's more like, okay, well, raw was good, but what if it was good? So now it's sort of like raw, but produced. So, you still have the talent. You're not wasting people's time. It's entertaining. But, it's a nice, refined rawness. Could it be raw but refined? Doesn't it just sound like we're in a boardroom right now, just asking for the impossible? Yeah, septum piercing. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Let's have a look at that. Next up, from Bayonetta 2, released in 2014. I love when people put the release dates. It really transports you. This is Let's Dance, Boys, second climax version. Wow. Composed by Naofumi Harada, chosen by Rudi. Man, how about that opening? So swanky, so bluesy, so cheeky. Just like as the piano player's playing it, they're just giving you this look. Okay, we'll start it again from the beginning. was a really cheeky turnaround. It adds, I think, 1 or 2 beats right at the end of it. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Oh, wow. So, like, your brain is really expecting it to land on that one, and then they add a beat, and then poof. So it's a really interesting way of, like, it pivots you, and now that you're in this new section, this new B section, new key, it's like transposed, new kind of sounds, new everything. That's a really interesting little move. This is just produced so nicely and arranged so nicely. It's kind of got like a Sonic Casino fun feel to it. It's like really glitzy and like Bayonetta. You know, Bayonetta's very, very flashy, and she's an interesting character, eh? She kind of has like every fetish in a way, or a lot of them. She kind of has that the librarian look. But she's a demon, I guess. No, she's a demon hunter, idiot. She has guns on her legs and black wings and is an ass kicker. But it's also having the glasses and the short hair, which is really funny. Oh, is that all her hair? All those wings? I see. Let's get to something real funky. From the Funkadelic, super funky in the way that it is so unique, the way that it surrounds us and penetrates us with its funky unusualness. Katamari Damacy. This is The Moon and the Prince, composed by Akitaka Toyama, chosen by Kris. Oh, Moby. What is that?
You. Ha. Get up. You. Ha. Get up. 走った曲がったそこら中駆け巡ってみた回した回った手当たり次第に転がしたくっつけた組み込んだいろんなものをゲットしたはっカモン避けてみた逃げてみた勢い余って飛んでみたよっゲラ押してみた引いてみた力の限り投げてみたぶつかった弾かれたものすごい衝撃が走ったゴールは果てしなく遠かった進むことをやめなかったいつまでも転がし続けた人として大きく成長したいろんなことに気がついたみんなが一つになった笑顔が街にあふれくだらない悪意が影を潜めたチゲだファンキーだみんな黙って俺についてこいイエチゲだファンキーだみんな必死で俺についてこいカモンチゲだファンキーだみんな黙って俺についてこいイエチゲだファンキーだみんな必死で俺についてこいカモンチゲだファンキーだみんな黙って俺についてこいイエチゲだファンキーだみんな必死で俺についてこいカモンチゲだファンキーだみんな黙って俺についてこいイエチゲだファンキーだみんな必死で俺についてこいカモン
That is so cool. It kind of reminds me of like Fatboy Slim, you know? In the way that you got these like really cool sampled looped pianos that are just the way that they're really chopped up and kind of mutated. They have that really kind of nice flow to them. It's like a real like elastic band. You can like feel the energy being pushed one way and snapping back the other one. And man, you know, you think of like that Psy, the Korean guy, the Gangnam Style. That was a global phenomenon, and you can hear so much of that here. This, like what I was talking about earlier, how games back then there were no rules. You know, people didn't even know how to control the camera or where to put the jump button. It was just, you know, they were just trying everything and like what could be a game. Except the new experiences were also like really cutting edge. Like there's still new experiences with indie games and stuff, but usually when a game has a big budget behind it, they tend to go for something really safe because they don't want to risk it, right? It's all low risk. But back then, it was like an even playing field, whether it was like the most expensive games at the time, the most mainstream games at the time, or the weird experiments. They all kind of still had that. They still all looked good, you know? And even I was gonna, like, as an example, I was gonna say the biggest mainstream games like Metal Gear Solid 2, you know, expensive, really beautiful, still also like of that era because it had its own control scheme. You know, it's not like now where every game you play is very homogenized controls, which can be helpful in a way. I think the PC brought that in with like, okay, C is crouch and shift is run and space is jump and all that stuff. But yeah, even the like biggest games back then they were their own thing, you know. Like when they would Metal Gear Solid 4, I think they finally had more of a standardized control scheme. But the controls worked in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 and 3. So it was an exciting time. It was a gold rush time in a way. A funky dub. Our next track is from Vigilante 8, Second Offense. The main theme, composed and arranged by Christian Solier, Eric Klein, and Javier Marquez. Chosen by Horky.
Vigilante, second offense.
So the whole thing with like saying welcome to the West, to the Wild Wild West. This game came out November 18th, 1999. And Wild Wild West, the movie, 1999. Probably early 1999. And probably Will Smith's song, Wild Wild West, promoting the movie. Starring Garcia Boves, of course, Salma Hayek and Kenneth Branagh, Kevin Kline. Will Smith. The movie he passed on The Matrix to do, Wild Wild West. So it's just like, they just took his line. You can't do that. It did not need to be in there. Wild Wild West. It's not a cowboy game even. You can't do that. It's not a Western type music. It's funk. If you're in Arizona, no one ever calls Arizona the Wild Wild West. You keep my Wild Wild West out your fucking mouth. Fuck. This is just like that other track from this time where people just went like, no one's really listening to these game soundtracks. Wicked Wild Wild West. When you think funky games, do you think Animal Crossing New Horizons? Released in 2020 on the Switch? Oh, yeah. Remember when this came out in Doom? And it was like, you should be at home because of COVID and the people you could kill. I remember there was some kid interviewed with a backpack. And by kid, I probably mean 25-year-old who lives at home with their grandparents. And they're like, my grandparents are immunocompromised, and if they get COVID, they will die, but I'm a big Animal Crossing fan, and I really want the physical version, so I can add it to the collection. Alright. And then there's a guy in line who's probably like, if I don't get a copy of Doom, I'm going to shoot up a school. So give the guy a copy of Doom. This one's composed by Kazumi Totaka. The track is 5 p.m., chosen by Claudio. Oh. Benny and the Jets. Ooh. Hey kids, wanna go together? A little lonely, but wanna change the weather. The baddest bitch in town. She got electric boots, a mohair suit, got it in a magazine. But Benny and the Jets. Benny and the Jets. Benny, 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 Benny. You know, I talk a lot about the difference between somebody playing a real instrument and being programmed with a computer is that a real player gets to choose when they hit the note whether it's going to be right on, a little bit before, a little bit later. Woo! I don't have charts. And this track is a really good example of what it sounds like when you play a couple of milliseconds behind the beat. The way the piano, which is like the piano and the kick and the snare, all of it. And it gives it this like, just kind of like pulls you in. And just the bass going, well, There it pushed and made me look like a fool in the turnaround. This is very Pilot Wingsy. If there was like... It's kind of like Birdman except grounded. So if you had some kind of like... I don't know, vehicle that took like big giant steps... Or like maybe a robot that like scaled up mountains or something. I feel like a good measure of whether it's Giraffe Man. When I hear a funk song, if in your mind you fill in like you're almost like filling in notes that aren't even there. Giraffe Man, farm that shit, fish that fish, flush that shit, the poop and the fish, yeah. Hey, we got another track from Hideki Naganuma of Jet Set Radio fame, chosen by Rudi. This is from Lethal League Blaze, released in 2018. The track is called, in all caps, Ain't Nothing Like a Funky Beat. Let's see what they mean. Pretty fast.
Give me one new funky beat. Ain't nothing like a funky beat. Sounds so funky to me. Is it knocking down the house? On these fresh beats. Give me one new funky beat, boy. Give me one new funky beat. Give me one new funky beat, boy. Ain't nothing like a funky beat. Give me one new funky beat, boy. Give me one new funky beat. Give me one new funky beat, boy. Ain't nothing like a real thing. Rock the watch on those funky. Cause the beat is funky. Give me that funky music. Wanna go back, going on.
Man. Wow. Man, you know, when I first heard that, it was going so fast and so crazy, and I thought, oh, maybe it's not going to be real funky. But then they bring in the James Brown sound alike and like those, I love those heavy, like big kind of grinding synths. So many like pushes. And yeah, great point. This could have worked in Splatoon if they would have had Mr. Hideki Naganuma. Hideki Naganuma, Hideki Naganuma, 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 Naganuma. Weird. What a weird looking game. It's kind of like Smash, but just two people. Why not make it four? If you're going to zoom all the way out and just have this like simplistic fighting game. What a weird looking game. Anyways, on to the next. Oh, you know who's going to bring the funk? Other than Animal Crossing? Sonic Mania. Oh, interesting. So Naganuma composed Sonic Rush. And now we're going to hear something from Sonic Mania, composed by T. Lopes. This is Hydrocity, Zone Act 1. Chosen by Kris. Oh, swanky motherfucker! going and keeps going. You know, I think the way they played that so well, though, with the Spider-Man thing is that he's not impressing anybody. He's acting like a douche, and he impresses that one girl who's like kind of mousy, makes him the cookies. But like the people in the street are not, they're not impressed by him. You know, they think he's weird. That's the best part. Wow, what a great track. I mean, it's just like a heavy swung funk. T. Lopes is so good at knowing what makes those original games, like what colors and tones and what sounds just speak like a regular person. It just knows how to make it sound like the original stuff. That like kind of actually similar to the Ninja Turtles in the way that those chromatic blues riffs. Chromatic just means you use every single note. You don't skip any note. But even that like kind of swung. See, there's that funk doing the sounds in between. It's got that big bounce to it. Oh, we got another Jet Set Radio Future track. This is Funky Dealer from Jet Set Radio Future, composed by Hideki Naganuma, chosen by Horky Sporky.
Nine a winner, pay the front line, take the don'ts. He's coming out again for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. 4-4's the point, mark 4. Ace, deuce, scrap, wants 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 4. Scrap, wants 4. Who wants the hard 4? 5 wants 4.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner, got a hot hand.
Man, you know, you hear this, and then you think, he could have done Splatoon. I like how he does, he uses that sample and that voice and hits it on the triplet.
Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner, got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 4 and he made it the hard way. Pay the front line, take the hard. You have a shooter and a good one. Coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen.
Get your bets down.
He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. He's a rolling point is 9. Place 9. 8 shooting for 9. 5 shooting for 9. Who wants to come? 6 to point.
Check me out, y'all.
9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets. Place your bets. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Who wants to come? 6 to point. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. That is like fucking masterful sampling where that is so rhythmically on with this song. To me, it sounds like it can't possibly have been a sample, that it must have been recorded for this especially. I'd be so interested in knowing how they did that. If only there was a way to just type that question somewhere and find the answer. The voice, what makes me think it's a sample is the speech, like the sound of the person's voice and how they speak and the recording quality of it. It sounds so, what would you say? Don't know many words anymore. Authentic. It sounds so authentic to that time. Cool. I love it. That's fucking good. Our last track of the day from Magic Sword. 1992 in the SNES. Macabre Funk. Composed by Michiru Yamane. So, Michiru Yamane, who we did an episode on, and 2 other composers, if you want more of her. Chosen by Claudio. Let's listen. Well, that's like, now that you know she worked on Castlevania, that is fucking unmistakably her. That driving bass, the diddly widdlies, the like classical influence, but the dance rock. All right, let's start it over again. The galloping beat. Spooky. Ooh. Wow. Is there another version of this track? That's the cool thing about Castlevania is you have these other versions. I'd love to hear this on like a PC Engine or some kind of remake or something, because like the Super Nintendo songs are charming, but I think so much of this track is like really kind of hard hitting, and it would be interesting to hear what she could do with more of a little more oomph behind it. Pretty fun. It's kind of got that like Street Fighter feel with the B section. Like a little hopeful section here. It's just really, really nice. It's just every couple seconds there's something new being introduced. Just leading you from one sound to the next. Never boring. There's an arcade version? Fuck yeah. Magic Sword Arcade. Macabre Funk. But see, back then they wouldn't necessarily just they wouldn't necessarily like when you look at the versions of the music for say Mortal Kombat in the arcade, the Super Nintendo, and the Genesis, they sometimes be completely different songs. See if we can find it, yeah. Whoa. I can't find it. Too bad for me. Too bad for me. Yeah, you're right. She does work really, really well with her limitations. She's incredibly talented. That's a great track. And she makes that Super Nintendo shine. Okay, well, if you're not familiar with this show and you'd like to be part of it, join the Discord. How do I join the Discord? There should be a link in the description of the video. If not, leave a comment and say Discord. Say anything remotely. I'll figure it out. I'll see it. I don't get a lot of comments, so when I see yours, I will hand deliver with my hand. I'll copy and paste you a Discord link just for you. And you can join us. And you can pick your 3 favorite tracks in whatever theme we're doing that week. Big thanks to Rudi, Kris, xenmas, Horky, Claudio, and Lachlan for their picks, and people who joined in the chat today. It's a lot of fun. I gotta go. I'll see you on Discord.